Hello, my name is Mike and I wanted to spend a few minutes talking to you about VantagePoint software. First, I just want to cover a little of my background. I've traded since 1992. I've worked on and off the trading floors in Chicago, New York, and overseas. And I've been very active since that time in the markets. It's been one of the primary sources of my income since I graduated college. I've used VantagePoint software since 2003. I originally started with the futures package, but since then I've expanded to the ETF package, Forex. I love trading Forex now, and I own all the stock packages. Um, I use it every day, and I've learned to rely on it, and it's one of the pieces of software that I will never get rid of. Besides the VantagePoint software, the only other software I utilize is some intraday charting software and my trade order entry software. I've used a lot of other packages in the past as I've been in this industry since '92. I've experimented with a lot of things. I've tried other packages, and a lot of them just haven't lived up to the claims, and I've let them go. I just haven't continued to utilize them because they didn't really benefit my trading. Uh, I do continue to use the VantagePoint every day. And so just so you know, anybody watching this, we all have different styles of trading. I have traded on an intraday basis, swing trade, and position trade. I don't, I'm sort of getting into the longer term stuff. Well, I mean, when I just got off the floors, I used to trade on very short charts. I mean, I trade on like a 133 tick chart. I trade on a minute chart. If I held something for 30 minutes, it was a long-term trade. Now I generally don't go less than an hour chart if I'm trading something intraday or trying to get into swing trades. A lot of times I don't go less than a 4-hour chart for Forex. And for stocks, I'm mainly looking at daily and weekly charts. And then if I want to pinpoint an entry, I might go to an intraday chart because I have the time to sit in front of a chart every day. However, a lot of times I'll just even enter using VantagePoint levels and prior highs and prior lows. I get in my trade, I let the market put me in, I can put in a stop order and my stop loss order even before the market's open, and I can let the market take me into a trade, and then I can modify my stop, especially if I'm a swing or a longer term trade. I can modify it once a day, and that's how I can trade the longer term stuff. I don't need to sit in front of the computer all day. I like to sit in front of the computer, and I also like to research, and I like to trade, and I'm a very active trader. But let's sort of touch base on every day. I cannot even fathom starting the day without looking at VantagePoint. And I want to know key things from VantagePoint for any market I'm considering trading or any market that I'm in a trade. I want to know the projected high and low that VantagePoint gives me. I want to know where the neural index is reading each day. And I want to know the projected strength. Now, separate from those things, I always need to know things for every market I'm in. Then depending on the style of trading I'm doing, I also want to know either the short, medium, or longer term crossovers. I want to know if they're expanding or compressing. And I'm going to use that information depending on whether I'm swing trading or long term trading. Over the years, I mean, when I first was up, before we had to keep it relatively simple because you couldn't get bombarded with that much information, but you used a lot of the information and a lot of the noise and a lot of the order flow information to help make trading decisions. Off the floor, I used to be very complex with my analysis. I used to look at 100 things, and it was almost analysis paralysis. So over the years, I've learned to simplify my trading just down to core tools and core things that I need every day. So one of the things I've learned is I only really trade trending markets. If it's not trending, I'm not trading it. It's one of the reasons I have all the different packages is because I can always find something that's trending. I can always find, if you just take stocks, I have the technology, the energy package, the basic materials package, because I just want to find something that's trending. And within a trending sector, there are going to be stocks that are trending and stocks that aren't trending. So I'm just going to ignore the stocks that aren't trending. If I'm talking about swing or longer term trading, I am never going to trade against the VantagePoint long term crossover direction. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going against the trend. I'm going to use that, the longer term crossover, as my major direction of the trade. And then what I'm mainly watching for is pullbacks within that trend, and I'm going to watch the neural index to go from 0 to 1 again, the strength indicator to start rebounding and get above the 0 line and start showing strength, and I'm getting in the trade. And I'm going to ride that trade if it's a swing trade until the neural index is going to stay 1. If it goes to 0, I go on alert. I'm going to tighten up my stops. I'm still going to let the market take me out because the market could keep running, but I'm going to tighten up my stops. I look at the strength indicator. I'm watching if as price is still going up. If the strength indicator is still positive but not going up as much, we have a divergence between price and the strength. That's telling me, it's giving me an alert. If somebody's just looking at the price, they think everything's fine. What I'm using is the VantagePoint strength indicator to help me, to give me sort of, it's like the radar before the storm hits. I know a storm's coming in. I know I have to take measures to protect myself from the storm, so that's why the strength indicator is falling. I'm going to tighten up my stops, and I'm going to let the market still take me out of the trade. And when it takes me out, great, I start looking for the next entry. And I do that every day. I use the IntelliScan feature in VantagePoint every day. Again, because I only want to trade things that fit into my criteria, my trading plan. I've spent a lot of time developing a trading plan around the VantagePoint software. And the IntelliScan feature helps me identify things at a glance of charts I want to look at. I mean, if I'm trading the technology sector, I don't need to look at 70 or 80 charts in technology sector. On any given day, there might be only 5 setups that I could be looking at, or 10 setups. So I want to use the IntelliScan to really narrow in, zone in on those setups, look at them either the night before or the day of the market before the open, and be prepared. And then look at my key, the projected high-low, the neural index, so I can really decide what I'm going to do that day and how I'm going to execute my trade. And then at what price level I'm going to execute my trade at. So that's, it really is indispensable for me. And originally I started off with the futures I expended, and I've spent a lot of money with VantagePoint, and it does cost money. You want to add more sectors or a different futures package, it's going to cost money. However, losing money costs money, and being ill-educated costs money. And pretend you're a carpenter, and you're going into somebody's house to build some custom cabinets. You're going to bring your own tools. You're going to buy the best tools you can. You're not going to just show up, knock on their door, and say, I'm here, do you have some tools I can use? I'll just use whatever tools you have laying around. You're going to buy the best tools you can, and you're going to equip your tool belt with those tools. VantagePoint, to me, is one of those tools. And buying good tools does cost money, but I am not going to go build a set of custom cabinets without the right tools. I'm not going to trade in the markets without the right tools. It will end up costing me money, and that money, I will have nothing to show for it. So those are just some thoughts about VantagePoint. And one of the things, you've got to identify what kind of trader you are. You might trade different time frames as I am, and then learn how the VantagePoint software works with your trading style. And that takes a little time. When I first got it, I spent time, I worked on it every day, and one day the light went off not too long after I bought it, and I said, oh, wow. And since that time, there's not a day that goes by that I don't utilize the software. Every night, it takes about 10 minutes to download the data at most, and then I just fire up the software, and it does all my analysis. The analysis is really analysis. Some of it, there's no way I could do it on my own. For example, just the technology stock Apple, VantagePoint is taking into consideration 25 different markets or stocks in the computers, using that information from all those different stocks and markets, 25 of them, to make that decision about the strength of Apple and doing the projections. It's projecting what could happen with Apple in the future. And that's a very different tool than just your traditional technical analysis. I mean, technical analysis, I could call up an Apple chart and put on a MACD or some moving averages and an RSI. And all that's just looking at either the price action or maybe the price action and the volume. But that's all it's looking at. VantagePoint is looking at what other markets are doing in relationship to the future you're trading, the ETF you're trading, or the stock you're trading, and it's taking all that information in, and the computer's using it for its projection. There aren't packages that do that out there. So why not use something that a lot of other people aren't using to give you the edge, which is why I like it. I just don't want to use the run-of-the-mill stuff that everybody else is using. I want to have an edge over something they're not. I am a professional and I'm trading against professionals. Imagine if you're just an amateur or just wants to take your money and invest it yourself. Well, you are going up against people doing this professionally every day. And the professionals have the best tools. Remember that. You can't just dabble in the markets. Probably dabbling in the markets will cost you money. And that's not an intelligent use of your money or your time, probably. So just to wrap it up, I am very happy with the software. I think it's fantastic. Whenever there's an update and they retrain the neural networks, I get that update because I want their retraining. I don't have the time to personally program my own neural networks. I would rather be trading instead of figuring out how to program my own neural networks and figuring out how to run the data. I don't want to spend my day doing that. I want to spend my day making money and trading. So that's why I use the VantagePoint software. I hope this has been helpful to anybody who is trying to decide if the software is right for them. And remember, just talk to the professionals at VantagePoint. They will help answer all your questions and spend as much time as you need to help you understand how the software can work for you. Thanks. You have a great trading career.